Record. All right, guys, welcome. Hope everybody's having a great Friday so far and looking forward to the weekend. I don't know about you guys where you're at, but there's a lot of good weather everywhere. At least out here, we got some good weather. What we got going on in the land of TEXIT, Iskander opened up to the US, everybody outside of Texas. That's exciting. Creating some sales for this ecosystem to get some flow coming, and it also opens up, a lot more eyes on this ecosystem in the project. As much as the individuals can act on their own, it is really cool to see both coins will be getting some attention in this because there's always going to be a spillover. You can't find Iskander without hearing Texit. You can't find Texit without hearing about Iskander. So they'll both help each other on their path. Iskander's going the route with the marketing to make sure that they have influencers on board. In the crypto space, influencers really drive that community. Influencers are very pivotal in these community projects and such because they really get a really big following and they'll all go in together. And so now that we have influencers tapping into this ecosystem, there's going to be a lot more eyes than the influencers that are coming on potentially. I don't think it's quite 100%, but we are expecting the Tate brothers to join. And I think cross platforms over 30 million followers, or at least eyes on their group and what they're touching. So a lot of eyes means a lot of potential participation growth in the ecosystem. So we're gonna go ahead. Let me share this real quick as background. Share my screen. Just want to kind of start with some of the basic market dynamics and what we're looking at in the price. If we come in and we want to make this be around, so this is basically this year. What you see is this year to date so far, still in a pretty hard downtrend, but we are seeing a pretty steady kind of bottoming happening, where the community is kind of stepping in and saying that they're not wanting to sell anymore and we're wanting to buy more. The market cap over here is the circulating supply that's out there right now. And you take that times the price and that creates the market cap. One of the things that you measure on participation is volume. Volume is probably the most important thing to capturing the participation level in a project. And you see it's always measured in 24-hour periods. They don't do days like in the stock market because crypto's kind of traded around the world and it's almost 24 hours, even though that they have that kind of, I guess, booking end time on UTC for maintenance and stuff that they want to do with the blockchains to keep the price kind of organized. So that's where that 24-hour period comes in. And what we're seeing is right now, the last 24 hours, we increased 25% of our volume. So there was a huge uptick in participation yesterday into today, and we're seeing $170,000 was last 24 hours. This right here is a ratio right on that CoinMarketCap uses to measure, and it is the volume, which is this number, divided by the market cap, this number. You see that it's a 1.37% ratio. For a long time, as TXC and TEXIT was kind of losing its steam and was falling in price, that ratio was around 0.2, sometimes as low as 0.15. I think I saw a couple times, often around 0.3%, and that signals how low the participation was in the market for TXC. Because if you look at some of the bigger projects, and like the biggest one obviously is Bitcoin. Everybody knows Bitcoin, but and they have the largest market cap. Their ratio is almost always over 3.7%. And you'll see some other ones like, let's say, Ethereum. And theirs is almost 11% volume every single day in comparison to their market cap. And TXC right now at this low price is only 1%. So there's a lot of room for TXC to grow as that volume increases. If we're looking at a 3x on the volume, that won't necessarily 3x the price, but if the volume grows, the price will grow. Um, as you see, look at Ethereum is bottoming out too. So we can see that across markets, Texacoin's not in a vacuum. It's not acting as its own, even though the participation is kind of stuck on just our community. And as this community grows, of course, with those influencers and with other people as they see this project, that will also grow the value. Um, Community participation sets the value of what they see their project in. A good way to grow value is not just by growing the community, but by growing its use cases and utility. So obviously, right now, the only way that you really see a transaction happen for TXC or for TEXIT is somebody has to go to one of the markets, one of these exchanges that it's on, Bitmart, DexTrade, or whatever, and they have to buy it, and that establishes the volume. Somebody has to put a sell order, somebody has to put a buy order. Ways that create a demand surge and the utility case by creating automatic buys in a way. Most cryptocurrencies, especially the proof of work ones like Texacoin, where we use mining hash power to compute and secure the network, they're mostly geared towards payment, secure payment transactions. So peer-to-peer or business peer-to-business or any of that as a payment to value it as a currency to create that transaction. Well, in that transaction, similar to like where Visa, MasterCard, or some of these banks, they have a processing fee. There's a gas fee for that. That gas fee creates automatic buying pressure back into the market, where somebody doesn't have to go into an exchange and say, "Hey, I want to place this order." It just comes in and buys it automatically, creating that push and that steady drive of consistency. A utility similar to like what Bobby's pushing with downtown digital and that community currency. Now you have not only do you have the community backing in a project and the support and the eyes where they look at it and the brand recognition of being able to go to a fair, festival, the rodeo, or your local mom and pop coffee shop, and you can see that TXC is accepted as payment, or the community currency of McKinney or Dallas is accepted as payment. How do I pay with a McKinney dollar? Oh, that's that one that's on TXC. That automatically creates a networking and a brand recognition where somebody will go to an exchange. How do I get more of that, or how do I participate in that? I like that idea of creating a currency that helps support small business or helps create a community currency, a local network. And that's where people can come in and also buy, which also will boost. But at each one of those transactions, even if it's a small fee, there's processing going on that's pushing up the network. Um, Again, falling back, and I might sound like I'm repeating myself, but again, communities are huge in this establishment, and gaming communities are also a very vital piece to this, because what online games, everybody has a mobile phone that they can play a game on, as they're sitting there killing time waiting at the doctor's office for an appointment, or their kids are trying to play a game or something. Any of that gameplay that you have is within that game, and in the past it was always locked. So hypothetically, one of the big popular ones is Candy Crush. So you're using Candy Crush and you're winning, you're unlocking stuff, you're playing the game, and you love it. And then all of a sudden, Candy Crush goes away or dies, or whatever. Well, everything that you've put into that is also gone. When you use crypto linked into these games, a lot of times what you can get is what's called an NFT. The NFT could be like an avatar or a skin or some type of like theme or piece, and you might have it in one game. Well, you could actually take it to other games now because it's secured by the blockchain. So as long as everything's on that blockchain, it can go across. So now you're not locked into just spending your money on one game and then never being able to use that item again. And for some people, whether it be a flag or a banner or a certain avatar character that they want, I could use my dogs or whatever as my character, and I can just go from game to game instead of having to try to buy that in each game. And so that's what kind of an NFT piece is, and that comes into where people like that. Well, if you create that transaction with crypto now, there's another use case, there's another transaction happening. So it doesn't just necessarily have to be old forms of current of transactions. It's not always let me buy that fork or let me buy that cup of coffee and done. There's other sources of transaction. And a lot of people go into these games, and they also need to be able to, they're capped at a certain use case where they need to unlock a certain level, or they really really love the game and they get excited and they're like, man, I need more stuff, I need more activity, I like this game. Once, because some people look at them as like, oh hey, it's a free game, instead of going to Best Buy and buying the actual game at $60, I get to put $60 worth of gameplay into this. And I can buy extra levels, I could buy some boosts, and I could buy all that. You buy it in crypto, um, and that is creating demand surge. And then also when people again recognize it, like, hey, that's the game that I love, hey, they use TXC for their payment, I'm going to go buy some more. So even though there's always that direct line of a transaction, boom, the transaction happened, a single event created a buy and a demand for the price, or the price of the coin, or the value of the coin to be influenced. Sometimes there's fallout and secondary. So influencers are advertising and saying they like it. A game is saying that they're using it. A business is saying that they're supporting it. Even if there's not always a transaction happening, sometimes it's the advertising and the brand recognition and the eyes that see it. The saying is more eyes, more buys. The more times something is seen, the more likely somebody is in jumping into it. So let's jump into Chat GPT real quick and play with some of these ideas, and how they kind of affect. Because one of the things that you'll see also with crypto involved into these games is a big thing that crypto is very proud of is security. I'm just going to get to the top. Where was I? This is already kind of happening. So a lot of these games, these really popular games like Fortnite, World of Warcraft, Roblox, they already are using like gift cards essentially, but these could be tokens or of sorts that you could create to buy with that cryptocurrency and exchange on that token network and build on that network. This creates that community driven, and it's very secure because that security that we get with the hashing of the mine and that security of the network means that nobody can hack into the game. So as a game developer, when you develop a game, you don't want people to come in and steal your game, essentially steal the developing and recreate it and tweak a couple names and then use your game and steal what you've built. Or people could hack into it. If you're trying to say that you're generating revenue because you want people to buy boosts or buy those NFTs or buy any of that, well, people hack into it and then unlock all their stuff in their game, then you're not getting those transactions. And that's where the proof of work, peer-to-peer, or business model of transactions and secure, where you see it happening and it's provable transaction, benefits those game users where they're really going to like crypto. And a lot of games are switching to using crypto as their network. So it's secure and safe. Their gameplay and their game design is not going to be hacked. The transactions are secure, can't be falsified and created. And then also even the hacking component of like cheating in the game is kind of blocked because of the crypto's network. So um, this is what I was talking about the digital items, those NFT style assets that you can take from game to game, as long as the game is able to. The other games are also, utilizing NFTs of sorts that can take those. You can transition them across the blockchain. Play to earn. You spend and you can earn. You could do. There's a lot of dynamics that you can grow into these tournament prizes, and it creates a currency that's global that you don't have to convert. So if somebody wants to play the game in Europe or somebody wants to play the game in America, you don't have to try to change currency. It's literally it's within there. It's already uh, on this token, and then they can go and off ramp it to whatever their currency is afterwards, or just keep it and keep playing with the coin. A lot of these proof of work coins that are mining, those guys could be getting daily uh, gameplay out of their mining rewards. And so just another thing that people can do. There we go. Secure payments. All the game purchases are secure, low fees, anti-cheat and fairness, player governance. So a lot of like smart contracts develop where the community of whoever owns the crypto has some control in it. So people like this because when they feel attached to something like a game or a community, they want to participate and have a vote, have a say. Well, crypto has that ability with those with player governance to help stimulate the and have a voice into their game that they like. Um, and so what do we got? Enter pull gaming assets, simple 30-second explanation for beginners. Where this gets interesting for like, so this is specific to TXC, proof of work mining, verifying the transactions, securing the ownership, preventing duplication. So when you develop a layer two, that's where somebody can create a gaming token without having to, and it actually exists where that people can see it, and then it's secure on the blockchain. People can't come into a game, say it's Candy Crush, and you have your Candy Crush tokens. You can't just falsify it and then cheat into the game. There's actual tokens that are across the blockchain and verified, so people can see who's actually playing. So if you ever do any kind of tournament style or ranking reward or play to earn kind of thing, nobody can cheat in there and falsify what they got. And that's where a layer two token can come in and play with your game. So yeah, there's a lot of fun in it. Here's a couple that ChatGPT came up with because of my previous talking points of what we've got going on. The Armadillo Gold Rush. You dig around the tunnels, you avoid collapsing tunnels, you'll find hidden TXC fragments, collect rare resources. And so, the layer one is the major treasure discoveries, tournament prize. The layer two game token, I think this should have been backwards, Armadillo Mining Ranger or something like that. And that becomes the token, which is where the daily rewards come. People will use that for tool upgrades, repair costs, cosmetic skins. All right, so that one's just kind of cool. Simple mechanics, fits in the TXC narrative. There's a treasure hunt that you can go as an armadillo, explore real world, and you can go around and you buy hunt passes and all the gameplay. I mean, anything that you're using can become a transaction with the layer two token. You come up with some simple entries. Hey, and instead of $3, we could say this is 5 TXC to enter into a hunt. 70% goes to the prize pool, 30% goes into the treasury, all kind of cool stuff that we got. So think of any game. I mean, a lot of people are playing some type of game on their phone or have seen some type of game on their phone, whether it was Snake back in the day or Pong, or these new games, these tower defense games. We got Candy Crush. There's the interactive games, players. There's a lot of real estate type games that are going around and like the Sims kind of style and builder. And just kind of open endless possibility, and anything that goes into that game can be a transaction. And instead of doing dollars using your credit card and doing that, it can be piggybacked on cryptocurrency. So now not only does this coin get exchange interaction where people go on to Buyconomy or Bitmart or wherever and are literally buying it as a wealth building asset, now they also get to use it in their favorite game. And all of those transactions, while they're thinking like, oh, it's 5 TXC, I already got that. Well, what happens when you start, dipping down or the price starts going up and you're like, whoa, I used to have 1,000 TXC. I've been playing my game. I'm down to 900. I need a couple more because the price is going up now. Well, now you go buy 100 more at the market so that you can go use it in the game. The game could also have some kind of gas fee or burn fee for each transaction, which is automatic going into the network. But then you're also having to go into the exchanges and buy it. So very cool, very exciting. More uses and more utility. It doesn't always have to be a single use thing per se. Even a token that could be used in a game can be used elsewhere too. So whether it be TXC's, community currency, if you want to use the community currency in your gameplay, you can, and it just to where you can use those for within the game buying, but also buying something in real life. So more uses, more value, and again, it's a more eyes, more buys type of thing that we're looking for. And more people that start seeing these games, the developers will jump on and start using it because the proof of work, that network, the mine that TXC is building 100 terahash over 5 different locations, that is going to be a huge network that can support a lot of games. I mean, I don't know the last time anybody's gone into their Apple Play Store, into their Google, and just clicked on games and to try to see how many games there are. Um, just for fun, let's look at how many mobile games are there, just to see. I mean, obviously, they're not all going to be on the TXC network, but you're talking about all the way back in 2024, 264,000 mobile games are out there in existence. And a lot of them are looking to figure out how to get easier transactions, easier use, and secure gaming to where people are not cheating, making their game fair, and for them to also be able to use currencies and use these NFTs across them. That's a lot of games, a lot of games. So 264,000 games doesn't even touch into how many people are actually using them. So that's one use case that's going to go beyond the mom and pop store that's selling coffee for a community currency, or going to a music festival and using it to buy a pretzel. It's every day, and even if it's a small amount, one TXC a day keeps keeps the keeps the zeros away, kind of thing. So I got a couple people in chat. I'm sorry. Call time. Thanks, Lonnie. Pac-Man. Each time you eat a ghost, you get one Satoshi. TXC. Yeah. No, I mean, there's so many ideas that you can run with, that become another use, a steady use of that transactions. They're automated with automatic fees as top ups, fill ups, or every single time somebody makes a transaction. And then you also make the currency be the crypto. And it starts going from there. Now you're not buying something and just looking at it in your phone as something that exists. Now it's actually being used every day. And that's something that's already at our fingertips. I don't know how long. I've never developed a mobile game. I got a couple in mind that you can probably see over here that I'm messing with and poking around, but it just opens up the door to so much. And as soon as the doors start opening, it's a domino effect. The doors are going to continue to open, and so that's very exciting to me. I'm glad that the layer 2 is on the way. Obviously, if anybody is really close to this, one of the things that we got to pay attention to for this to really start happening is the developers have to get around all of the projects that they're working on right now, as far as getting the Iskander back office up, trying to make sure that our network is operating efficiently and consistently and is secure. They're making the final touches to both the Iskander and the TXC website. So they're pumping out a lot of stuff, and they have a lot of projects. But what we need is the API, and that API is basically the key to the network. So to where those transactions can automatically happen, and you don't have to do like some kind of manual send over here, and then to have access to the security of the network to be able to have it layered on that game for where transactions are moving across the blockchain. We need the keys, and that's what the API is. And so keep an eye out on the Zoom calls. I know Bobby said it's something that he wants them to work on, but there are a couple projects in front of it that are a little bit more pressing that we need to get through first. But once the developers can get the API opened up, then from whether it's your community currency, it's your project donation thing, it's a currency of its own that you want, and then a real world operations kind of thing that you're trying to build, like one of mine, or a game. And you can start opening that up, and you can really start going. So I think at this point for TXC, the best thing you can do is, obviously, this is your brainstorming time. This is your getting the ideas and the thought and the how to plays and stuff. As far as once you start trying to layer the design and stuff, we kind of got to wait. Don't go too fast. And I don't want to try to mute anybody's excitement. Be excited. I know Jeffrey's excited. I've been talking to him a little bit about this. The gaming world is just so huge for this. I know that fairs and festival, every time Bobby talks about it, when I hear it the first time, I'm always like, that's too niche, and it's not consistent enough. And then he comes up with the numbers, and I'm like, holy crap, that is a huge niche. It's big. So then even multiply that now by gaming, because now gaming is every single day. I don't know what the average study would be, but there's a lot of kids, and there's streamers and all those people that are playing. There's people playing games 10 hours a day, more. So and people have access to it, and it's just one more thing that's going to open up, Pandora's box of goods. So before I get rambling and going too crazy, Jeff, if you have anything you want to chirp in there, let's unmute yourself if you want. I know you got plenty to say about this.
Brother, absolute bro. Yeah, this is going to be an ongoing thing for sure. First things first, great, great, great presentation and dive into this to open it up for us. Touch base on one thing. Uh, in the gaming space alone, just within you, like you said, the mobile all the way to Web3, we're talking about $100 billion a year industry.
Huge.
So imagine using the Warren Buffett mode on that, and we come up with a game within our TEXIT ecosystem and our Texas family, and you tap into 1% of that. That revenue is insane to bring in because, yes, just like you said, anywhere from an hour to 16 hours a day is mobile gaming. It's engaged by communities. I've got all the stats on the top three communities and so on where you go and find it. One of the top moving games or gaming ideas within this space is literally tap mining. So imagine like Toncoin is one of the number ones that are on Telegram. That's their ecosystem is all built in gaming. But imagine, like Lonnie says there, you take the little armadillo, you open up your app in Telegram every day, and all you do is tap on the armadillo. And while you tap on the armadillo, it brings up the fractionated token, so on and so forth. And you keep tapping and tapping and tapping until all of a sudden you've got one TXC. The revenue, the community within that it's astronomical. Like as soon as like I said to you, as soon as I heard gaming, I just went, holy cannolis, like let's go. Why? Like you said, it rebooted me. I'm involved in so many Web3 games. I was showing Lonnie, like, I've got 15 properties in Upland. I've got freaking properties in NFTs over in Gala platform. The NFT side of things is just to wrap your head around what you can do and the possibilities that you can have with NFT, the non-fungible token. Like Lonnie said, you use that art piece in gaming. But you can also rent that art piece out. For an example, let's say we're in the Armadillo Army, and I've got an NFT that I gained from rewards or I purchased, and now Lonnie's at a level, in the game where he needs that NFT. Well, I could literally rent that NFT to him in that gaming platform for him to advance to the next level, and then he could simply send that NFT back to me, or simply go out and purchase that NFT needed. So the utilization and use cases within this space is crazy. And yeah, like you said, we could go on and on. I'll obviously continue to send you Chat GPT that I do. I know you're doing. But yeah, this is very exciting, fam. Like this is definitely a part that we need to be in. When you think of daily user in the gaming space, just using mobile, you're talking 1.6 billion, 1.6 billion users on the daily. And that age gender is from 13 to me, 97. But it's a crazy space. I mean, at 56, I mean, I grew up coming up on Atari, and to think that you can go from console to mobile application to now being able to revenue within those applications, we're in a great space. And again, man, I look forward to working on this and sharing with you and the fam and the community. It's very exciting news for us, and super stoked that Bobby decided, hey, you know what, we got to check out gaming and let's go. So yeah, anything I can help out with or jump on, I'll be here for sure.
I think
Thank
that's
you, brother.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that you touched on is the excitement. You know, you could go back probably into December when sales really started slowing down for the mining seats, and the price started tipping down quite a bit. It was difficult for people to have expendable money to add to their TXC bag, or to get a mining seat. Uh, the world was a little doom and gloom, and then we've come into this year, and here we are on the verge of World War III, and the economy's so up and down. Oil's flying faster than the TXC price is, and it's kind of hard to for people to participate and get excited about this because there was no extra utility that was in place. And we're still we're not on a utility path to like tomorrow or next week. And Bobby could surprise us and have this API out probably on the next Tuesday call if he really wanted to. The guy can move in mysterious ways when he starts getting going. So it could be there, but I also wouldn't say that it's going to be out next month. Maybe it's not till June when the API is ready for the downtown digital for the Texas music revolution, or whenever. But it's something to look forward to. And like what you just said is your excitement is back. We've been stuck in the mud in this price between 15 cents and 25 cents for 2 months now, and something to look forward to and something to get excited about. Gets you back into the forward mindset, because whenever you're looking at whether it's a stock that you're investing in, or trying to build your wealth, you're not doing it for tomorrow. You're doing it for tomorrow's tomorrow. You got to go out and think. If you're buying, TXC at 18 cents right now, you're not planning to sell it at 19 cents. Your think is, I want this to grow, and I'm looking at $1 or $2 or 50 cents or $1.50 or whatever the number is that you need, or at least forward enough to when it's beneficial to you. And so if you look at the project as, okay, it's low right now at 17 cents. There's no utility right now. There's no sales. This is the low. And if you hear famous and big money guys who grew the most wealth, they never grew wealth buying something at the peak of its value. Getting into something and having some faith in a project when it's at its low, but you can see the potential. So we're seeing the community currencies potential. We're seeing the gaming potential. We're seeing the mining being built. We're seeing international ecosystems develop, where it's going to be in Europe, it's going to be in Asia, it's going to be in Africa and South America, and the project's still going. So having that light and that excitement to keep that faith to where it's like, yeah, you know what? It's low now, but I'm not here for tomorrow. Again, tomorrow's tomorrow. We're looking at next year, end of the year, in the summer, whenever. And there could be 10 games built, by Christmas, and people are going to be sitting there using their TXC, playing some real estate game or some tap mining game or some tower game, and we're going to be talking about a whole new picture. And I think that's what's huge, and that's what the community really needed. It's been a while since we've had a win or anything to even look for in the light. It's been kind of dark. So love the excitement, love seeing that the project is still progressing forward. Doors are opening, and every one of those doors opens, it seems to be getting a little bit brighter. So if you can see the project's path, um, is still growing and getting and have that vision of wider opportunity. Hearing things like this, even if you're not building a game, even if you don't play games, you got being able to recognize, like, oh, that's another use. That's cool. You're going to see the ad on a commercial. You're going to see the ad. You're going to be watching a YouTube video on how to fix your sink, and there's going to be an ad coming across it talking about a game. And in the bottom corner, it's going to say, TXC mining armadillo, da 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 da. That's coming. Those are things that are down the road. So it's got to be exciting for you, even if your only goal is that you have a mining seat, or if your only goal is like, yeah, I buy $100 worth of TXC every Friday. Whatever your position is, even if you don't want to participate in the downtown digital, you're just a passive participant, but you're looking at the growth, seeing the opportunity. All you have to do is tell somebody about it. Like, hey, did you that thing that I'm in? They're looking at doing games, or they're looking at doing local currencies for events. That is participating just by talking about it. So you don't have to post on social. You don't have to go out and be a walking billboard. You don't have to wrap your car and do anything crazy. But telling a friend that project that you're in, that you looked silly on because you got in and the price went down, it's still going, and opportunities are still growing and coming up. So hit me, Jeffrey. I saw you had your hand up. Got some more to add?
Yeah, no, yeah, I just wanted to share two fun facts with you, exactly where you're saying there, where you're looking into the future and thinking about the longevity. Number one fun fact, like I said, it's a 90 to $100 billion a year industry right now in gaming, in mobile gaming, and that's including your, your normal mobile gaming like a Candy Crush, up to your RPG Call of Duty, up to your Web3 where you're tapping for tokens. That space by 2030 is expected to be $320 billion. That's $100 billion right now. But by 4 years from now, it's $320 billion industry. And the other crazy thing is the age genre within that gaming space. Aside from, console and PC with a lot of the kids, on the mobile application, that age genre is anywhere from 35, well, it is from 35 to 55 years of age is the biggest gaming community in the mobile Web3 space. So that's again a lot of us in the older, like you were saying, that game or haven't gamed or don't know this. And the point is that the generation, the genre, the age genre getting involved is realizing this shift in economics and how you can actually get revenue from simply playing a game. And I've said it to a lot of my older friends, like, hey, how many times or how many hours do you put playing games or tapping or playing Candy Crush? And so, oh, like a couple hours a day, this and that. And I go, right, and you don't get paid. Imagine playing a game where you can actually build yourself revenue. That's excitement. That's exciting. So again, appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. Nope. It's there. And like we said, crypto's growing, it's getting adopted. It's a big focus for the banks, it's a big focus for legislation. We're getting Clarity Act and everything. It's a shift in the world. And these games right now are not even all using it yet, but they're looking at it as this is what we've needed the whole time. We needed these blockchain for verified transactions so people aren't stealing stuff and cheating. We need the security so people aren't hacking into it and copywriting us. We need the payment transactions to be a single and automatic exchange or the transition from whatever currency that you have at home to whatever you're using, and it's all simplified in crypto. So the pivot is going to be there. So even those numbers that you're throwing out right now, even if you sat there and said, oh, there's not a lot, I don't see very many games using crypto, watch out. I think it's hard to say that it's not coming because it's so beneficial to the ecosystem. It's going to be there, and TXC's positioned themselves at a great time to be there for it. It's just begun. It's not like we're at the end of it and you're catching the tailwinds. This is the front door we're going in. We're not sneaking in where everybody else is already in and having to fight through the crowd. We could be one of the firsts, into this. So early is great for these types of projects. And obviously that's where the highest risk is. And you look at TXC is like, man, we got in early. And even though it's been around for 2 years, everybody got in early and saw the price kind of tail and feel that they lost. But that's the risk of being in early because we're waiting for this. We're waiting for the utility. We're waiting for the adoption. We're waiting for people to recognize it. How long did it take everybody to know what a Bitcoin was? And now you can't say Bitcoin without everybody knowing what you're talking about. It didn't happen overnight. It takes a while to build a community. It takes a while to build that brand recognition. And this brand recognition is coming from these events for community currency, from gaming, from influencers, from, talking to your friend at coffee, like, hey, I paid for this coffee with TXC. Isn't that cool? And they're going to be like, what the heck is a TXC? Or a downtown digital. I got my McKinney dollars. Do you have yours? No, never heard of it. It's got to be that peer-to-peer word of mouth spread right now, and that's the best way to participate. Even if you don't want to do anything else, if you're not trying to build a game, you're not trying to build a token, you're not doing any of that, just tell a friend. Tell a friend it's coming. So point them the right way. If anybody else has any questions or wants to jump in and say anything, feel free to. I'm going to turn it so you guys can all unmute yourself if you want to hop in. Add anything. Anybody who's got a fun game idea that they want to tease the world with that they're working on? No.
Oh yeah, I got some gaming ideas,
I
but
know Jeffrey's got a
we'll
couple
keep
of them.
them under wraps.
He's got more than a teaser for the world.
Here's one. Here's one for everybody as well. I mean, whether or not you game or not, everybody has heard about Roblox, right? One of the games that kids play all the time, Roblox. It's literally a pixelated cube, and you go and build a city and a village, and some of them are building massive, massive empires within the gaming space. That game started out, 8 years ago. And after the 8 years, it's now one of the top revenue games in Web3. And it's all kids playing this. And on the average, they're, $18 million a year is what this gaming platform brings in. And like I said, those are kids. So you can imagine, parents that are like, oh, here's your $10 allowance, and they throw it right at Roblox. So this space is super exciting. Like I'm pumped and I'm all in. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, one more thing to be excited about for TXC. So yeah, if nobody else has anything to add, I know it was a little bit shorter and a little bit fixated on gaming. I don't know if everybody's building a game, but it's something to be excited about. One more door to open. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good weekend. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next week, but I'm trying to get a little bit consistent on these Friday Zooms. I always want to touch on the market dynamics. I want to give everybody an update of how the market's progressed and how things have gone this week. I didn't touch too much on the war affecting it. Um, this time, I could leave that for next week or for another one. I'm trying to rotate morning and afternoon because there's quite a few people in Tomorrowland over there in New Zealand and Australia that like being able to participate in these. So there's also a lot of people who like the morning calls, get their day started with some excitement and an update to see how they want to tackle the world. So I'll probably do an afternoon one next Friday or an evening one. And I'm trying to figure out which way to work and get something kind of scheduled so people can see. So, and if you're in the Telegram channel, I'm there. I'm active. If you have a suggestion, something that you want me to talk about as a topic, layer two, utility, the difference between proof of work, proof of stake, proof of history, anything in the crypto space that you want me to talk about and expand on, feel free to give me a suggestion and I'll make sure I can implement it into the weekly stuff. I'm here to help everybody have a good understanding of not just TXC of crypto, so they can make good decisions and have confidence in what they're in. So I'm here for it. Feel free to reach out to me, and we'll catch you
And
guys on the next one.
yeah, if you need any help, Lonnie or admin, when you're doing your calls and whatnot, man, you got me. I'm all in.
Cool. I will get you, Jeffrey. All right, guys.
You
Have a
know.
good weekend. I'll catch you guys next week.